Hello. This is TAW Productions here. You know, I was hoping for Ruby Gilman, Teenage Kraken, to be my first review to be somewhat negative after giving so many 8 or 9 out of 10s. But, it seems like Viva Kids and Vanguard Animation heard my hopes and decided to join forces to make this thing. Yes, I'm referring to today's subject. Rally Road Racers. Never heard of this film? Neither did I. This was an animated film that just came and went into theaters without anyone really remembering this film. And nobody saw it due to that other racing movie that came out in May. So, I figured might as well be one of the only few people to give this film the time of day that nobody else will give it. This film was a collaboration between two companies. These two are known as Viva Kids and Vanguard Animation. Those two names right there are marking some serious red flags with this movie. For those who just logged into the internet for the first time today, allow me to explain who these two companies are. Viva Kids is a company that is known for distributing animated movies from different sorts of less well-known studios. Most of their movies don't often get a big release in theaters. If anything, the most they get is their 3 seconds of fame in theaters in various countries and not much else. They get immediately forgotten about as soon as it comes out and is now shoved in the DVD bargain bin that you can find your local dollar store. They're like Lionsgate, where they just pick up a random animated film and give it a distribution release without giving it any sort of marketing. This is how I know of movies like The Amazing Maurice, Monster Family, Top Cat Begins, and The Son of Bigfoot. And then there's Vanguard Animation. They're often regarded as one of the worst mainstream animation companies to exist. Whenever their names are attached to a film, not only is it often a red flag, but they also have a notorious track record for making movies that are terrible to the cinematic equivalent to an alien probing you at every single corner. So you could imagine my joy that I had to discover this movie, knowing it was made by a distributor that doesn't care about marketing and a company that makes nothing but pure trash. But let's see how the film fared with me. After finally watching this movie, I can safely say that this is one of Vanguard's better films. But it still wasn't good. Here's my review for Rally Road Racers. I think we can start with my biggest problem with the movie, and that is the writing. This has to be one of the most boring and predictable animated movies I have seen in recent memory. This is one of those movies where you can guess every single thing that is going to happen and you will not be surprised whatsoever. This is probably the most cliched, cookie-pasted script you could ever come up with. Like, if I were to count every single trope you could think of. In fact, I'll do just that. This is yet another underdog story where the main characters dream big, but is unfortunately looked down upon by either society or especially their own family members. The villain is a self-obsessed arsehole that wins at everything. The villain tries to pit himself against the heroes by trying to turn an established property into his own land development. The hero gets help from an experienced master and trains him every single way possible. The hero makes a bet with the villain in exchange for their own futures. The hero's partner starts a relationship with the female character only to be revealed that she was working with the main villain, gets a crisis and later regrets it and joins the team. We have a liar reveal trope where the characters were hiding a secret they've held over, which results in a third act breakup of them going their separate ways. Oh, and it's a film about racing. I'm not kidding. I counted about 9 clichés in this entire bucking movie. That is 9 clichés too many. While clichés, in and of themselves, aren't inherently a bad thing, but when they are this overused without giving it a refreshing or entertaining spin on them, all they make me go is, sorry, but your script isn't good. And this is one of the worst examples of that. And it wouldn't bother me so much if at least one of them was used either sparingly or was used well. But that isn't the only issue with this film. The film's pacing is dreadful. Despite being only 1 hour and 32 minutes. this film feels like it's going on for way longer than that. If you were to watch this and Oppenheimer, which is a 3-hour movie, the latter film would be much shorter, and that is not inherently a good thing if a shorter movie is paced much longer than it intended. How about the characters? Really, the only character I even remotely like was Nash. I like how his character goes, and he does make the movie somewhat bearable, and I thought J.K. Simmons does an okay job voicing him. Everyone else, I couldn't care less about. Everything I just listed applies. The only one that I have any notes on is the villain, Archie Vainglorious, who is voiced by John Cleese. John freaking Cleese. Okay, dude. What is your current agent at the moment? First, you were in Arctic Dogs, where you played a Mr. Waternose ripoff known as Otto Van Walrus. And now you voice a frog villain. Do you just have a life debt to play villains in the most generic animated movies ever? There is also a lot of racism stereotyping. No joke. It feels like every animal was made to represent a specific country. No, I am looking deep into this. It is real. From Nash having a Russian accent, to those seahorses having thick Italian accents, to the frogs having British accents, to the pandas being representative of the Chinese. Yeah. No movie. You are not Zootopia. The only thing that I can say even remotely positive is that at least this film gets to the point. Despite the pacing being abysmal, it's at least straight to the point. Also, this might be one of Vanguard's better-looking movies. There are still problems with it though. Like some of the stiff character animation and very janky movements, as well as some pretty bad lip syncing and a weird cut-off in the sound editing department. But the color palette is actually not that bad, and at least don't look lifeless, and when it came to the race scenes, they were admittedly enjoyable to watch, and you can tell that is where most of the effort went to. And I do like some of the designs. I even thought the Take On Me scene was actually enjoyable. I like the different animation style they used for the movie, and some of that Spider-Version style is there, especially in the racing scenes, but even then you can tell the budget wasn't there to look actually great. Let's wrap this review up. In conclusion, yeah, Rally Road Racers is a pretty bad movie. But I'm not even angry at it. It's a boring movie with a generic and utterly cliched script, mediocre animation with only a few standouts, and bland characters you mostly don't care about because some of the voice acting also doesn't show it. Of course, I'd tell you to skip it. It's a film not worth seeing. Not even for kids. There are so many better animated movies you could be watching right now that are far worth your time than this piece of animation mediocrity. It may not be the worst animated film to exist, but it is so far the worst animated movie of 2023. So, this ends yet another review. If you like this video, then subscribe for more new content. This is TAW Productions. Have a good night.